My wife kept saying Matthew would never do that. I asked why she didn't marry him. Turns out there was a reason. I have been married to my wife Laura for 4 years. No kids because she wanted to focus on her career first. She's a high school English teacher and I'm an operations manager at a manufacturing plant in Ohio. On paper, we're the stable couple everyone envies. Good jobs, nice house, active social life. But there's been this thing. This constant, gnawing thing that I've tried to ignore for years. My wife compares me to her ex-fiancé, constantly. His name is Matthew. They were engaged years ago but called it off before the wedding. Laura told me early in our relationship that he was more romantic and wrote poetry for her. I thought it was just nostalgia, you know. Everyone has that one ex they remember fondly, except it didn't stop there. When I installed our dishwasher myself and it leaked a bit, Laura said, Matthew could do this kind of stuff without calling anyone. He was really handy. When I forgot her mom's birthday one year, I got, Matthew never forgot important dates. You're just not as thoughtful. When I had to work late during a big equipment installation and production line reconfiguration, she hit me with, Matthew always knew how to balance work and life. He made me feel like I was his priority. I remember that one specifically because I'd been working 60-hour weeks to make sure we didn't miss our quarterly production targets during the changeover. Jobs were literally on the line, but apparently Matthew would have found a way to do it all with time left over for date nights. And the financial stuff, Jesus. When I suggested we cut back on eating out to save for a potential down payment on a rental property, Laura said, Matthew always had such clear financial plans. I never had to worry about money with him. This was after I'd shown her a detailed spreadsheet of how we could save an extra $15,000 a year. Apparently Matthew's financial plans were better, though I'm not sure how since they never actually bought a house together. It's been like this for 4 years. Every mistake I make, every little thing I do wrong, Matthew would have done it better. Matthew would have remembered. Matthew would have planned ahead. Matthew would have been more thoughtful. I've tried talking to her about it. Multiple times, I'd say, honey, it really hurts when you compare me to your ex. It makes me feel like I'm not good enough. And she'd respond with, you're being too sensitive. I'm just using examples to help you understand. Or, I'll try to stop. And then 2 weeks later, we're back to Matthew this, Matthew that. But I loved her. I kept thinking maybe I needed to be better, do more, try harder. So here's what happened last weekend. We had a game night with 2 other couples, our close friends Mike and Jen, and Paul and Amy. I'd spent the whole day cleaning the house, making homemade lasagna from scratch and setting up the board games. I was actually proud of the effort I put in. We were playing this game where you say most likely to, and everyone votes. Laura said most likely to forget an anniversary, definitely Nate. Matthew never forgot that stuff. There was this awkward laugh from everyone. I said nothing. Then we sat down to eat. Laura took one bite of my lasagna and said, this is good, babe, but you know who made the most amazing lasagna? Matthew. He had this special Italian layering technique his grandmother taught him. And something in me just snapped. I put down my fork and said, why didn't you marry him then? The table went silent. Laura stared at me. What? I said louder. If Matthew was so perfect at everything, why didn't you marry him? Why am I the one sitting here listening to how I'll never measure up? She started. Nate, that's not. I cut her off. Oh wait, I remember now, because he didn't want to marry you either. You could have heard a pin drop. Mike and Paul looked at their plates. Jen's eyes were huge. Amy grabbed her wine glass and turned away. Laura's face went white, then red. You're disgusting. How dare you? I said, I've lived for 4 years being told I'm second place to a man who dumped you. A man you worship like he's perfect, when the reality is he saw something that made him run. And I've been here, playing husband to someone who married me because I was available, not because she actually wanted me. Laura started crying and said, I can't believe you'd say this in front of our friends. She grabbed her phone, called an Uber, and left for her mom's house within 20 minutes. Our friends sat there in shock. Mike eventually said, dude, but didn't finish the sentence. They left soon after, the vibe completely destroyed. I sat alone with my cold lasagna and realized I'd just blown up my marriage in front of witnesses. But honestly, I meant every word. I'm tired of being compared to a ghost. I'm tired of feeling like a consolation prize. Laura texted me at 2 a.m. I'm staying at Mom's. You owe me an apology. We can't move forward until you apologize for humiliating me. I haven't responded. I don't know what to do. Part of me wants to apologize just to keep the peace. But another part of me, the part that's been slowly dying for 7 years, is screaming that I have nothing to apologize for. Reddit, am I the asshole here? Or did I finally say what needed to be said? Edit, holy shit, I didn't expect this many responses. Reading through comments now. A lot of you are asking if Laura and Matthew still talk. I honestly don't know, but now that you mention it. Some of you are right, I should have left years ago. I guess I kept hoping things would change. Update 1, posted 5 days later. Hey everyone, Nate here again. You guys were right about a lot of things and wrong about others, but mostly right in ways I didn't want to admit. So after my last post, Laura stayed at her mom's house for 3 days. I got bombarded from her family almost immediately. Her mom called me the next morning and said, "You made my daughter cry all night. A real man apologizes even when he's not wrong, just to keep the peace." I asked her if Laura had mentioned the 4 years of comparisons. She said, "Those are just memories, not attacks. You're being insecure." Then she hung up. Laura's younger sister Megan sent me a long text about how I'm clearly insecure and shouldn't blame my wife for my own inadequacy. She said if I was more confident and actually as good as Matthew, I wouldn't be bothered by a few harmless comments. That one stung, not gonna lie. Laura came back to the house after 3 days and she came with an ultimatum. She said she'd be willing to work on the marriage if and only if I apologized for what I said at the game night. She framed it as me publicly humiliating her and being cruel. I told her I wouldn't apologize for stating the truth. I said, "You've never apologized for 4 years of making me feel inadequate. Not once." She said, "Matthew is part of my past. You need to accept that." And here's where I started paying attention to details I'd ignored before. I said, "If he's just your past, why do you know he moved to Seattle? Why do you know his salary increased last year? Why do you know he got a golden retriever?" Her face changed. She tried to recover and said, I don't know those things, you're making stuff up." But I wasn't. She'd mentioned all of those things over the past year in various contexts. I asked directly, "Are you still in contact with Matthew?" She deflected. "That's not the point. You can't control who I talk to. This is about you being insecure." We argued for another hour. She wouldn't give me a straight answer. She kept saying I was being controlling and paranoid, and that I was looking for reasons to be angry. She left again that night. Said she needed space from my toxic behavior. That was a week ago. And then yesterday I got a Facebook message that changed everything. A woman named Chloe messaged me, "Hi, are you Laura's husband? I'm Matthew's fiancé. We need to talk." My stomach dropped. I agreed to a phone call. Chloe told me she'd noticed Laura frequently commenting on and reacting to Matthew's Facebook posts. She thought it was weird but didn't say anything at first. Then Laura started sending DMs to Matthew, long ones, about her marriage, about me, about regrets. Chloe showed me screenshots. I'm not going to post them here, but the gist. Laura told Matthew she was in an unhappy marriage with a man who doesn't measure up. She wrote, "If I hadn't settled, it would have been us walking down the aisle. And sometimes I think I married the wrong man." There was one message where she said, "I look at him and wonder what would have happened if you and I had just worked a little harder. We were so close to perfect." She painted me as controlling, jealous, and prone to angry outbursts, none of which is true. She told him I monitored her phone. I didn't. Isolated her from friends. I encouraged her girls' nights and made her feel small, rich, coming from someone who spent years telling me I wasn't good enough. She was building a narrative to justify her venting to her ex. She was positioning herself as the victim of a bad marriage to gain sympathy from the man she clearly still wanted. Matthew's responses were diplomatic but didn't shut it down hard enough in my opinion. Stuff like, "That sounds difficult. We were young. It's complicated." Not exactly encouraging her, but not exactly discouraging her either. There was one message where he said, "I hope things get better for you," which Laura apparently interpreted as him caring deeply about her situation. Chloe sent me everything. Screenshots spanning 3 months of messages. She said, "I'm not okay with my fiancé being someone else's emotional support for bashing her husband. You deserve to know. I'd want someone to tell me." Her voice was shaking when we talked. She was angry and hurt, but she was also kind to me. She said, "I don't think you're any of the things she said you were. I think she needs professional help." I thanked her. I really did. That took guts. She could have just confronted Matthew and left it at that. But she thought about me, a stranger, and made sure I knew the truth. So now I know. It's not just that Laura compared me to Matthew for 7 years. She's been actively maintaining contact with him, lying to me about it, and portraying me as the villain in her little fantasy where she should have married the poet who got away. I haven't confronted Laura yet with this information. I'm gathering everything first. I've backed up our financial documents. I've started looking into what divorce might look like. I don't want to save this marriage anymore. I'm done trying to compete with a ghost. I'm done trying to be good enough for someone who's decided I never will be. The lawyer I consulted, I already called one, said my case is pretty straightforward. The house is in my name from before we were married. No kids. She makes decent money as a teacher. He said if I have proof of emotional infidelity and her misrepresenting me to others, it strengthens my position even more. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just tired. More updates to come, I'm sure. Update 2, posted 2 weeks later back again. Things have moved fast, and there's a plot twist I genuinely didn't see coming. First, after the lawyer meeting, I realized I'd been walking on eggshells for years with Laura, but now I needed that same caution for different reasons. So I confronted her. I printed out every single screenshot Chloe sent me, over 20 pages. When Laura came by the house to pick up some clothes, I laid them out on the kitchen table. I said, "Before you leave, I want you to look at these." She glanced down, saw Matthew's name, and her face went pale. She immediately said, "How did you get those? That's a violation of my privacy," I said calmly. "These came from Matthew's fiancée. Because while you were complaining about me to your ex-fiancé, you were also helping to wreck their relationship. She had every right to send these to me." Laura started scrambling. "It's not what it looks like. I was just venting. I never cheated." I cut her off. "You told him you married the wrong man. You said if you hadn't settled, you'd have walked down the aisle with him. You painted me as controlling and abusive when I've never raised my hand or my voice to you before last week. You made me the villain so you could be the tragic heroine in your little fantasy with Matthew." She tried the tears. "I made mistakes. I just needed someone to talk to, someone who understood me." "Someone who understood you." I was shaking now, but keeping my voice level. "You had a husband. I was right here, Laura. But I was never going to be enough because you were in love with an idea, not a person." She shifted tactics. "So what, you're going to divorce me over some messages? I never slept with him. I never even met up with him in person." "This is an overreaction," I said. "You emotionally checked out of this marriage years ago. Maybe from the very start. You've been lying to me about being in contact with him. You've been lying to him about who I am. The only person you're honest with is yourself, and even then I'm not sure. I'm done. I've filed for divorce." That's when she got angry, really angry. She started yelling about how I can't handle a woman with a past, how I'm throwing away 4 years over insecurity, how she deserves better than this. I just stood there and let her rage. When she was done, I said, "You're right. You do deserve better. You deserve someone who lives up to your impossible standards. Unfortunately, that person doesn't exist, and I deserve someone who actually wants to be married to me, so this works out for everyone." She grabbed her stuff and left. Slammed the door so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. But here's the twist I mentioned. The next day I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize. Seattle area code. I answered and a man's voice said, "Nate, this is Matthew." I almost hung up, but curiosity got the better of me. He said, "Look, I know this is weird. Chloe told me she sent you those screenshots. I want you to know I wasn't trying to pursue your wife or break up your marriage." I said, "You didn't exactly shut her down either." He sighed. "You're right. I should have. I was trying to be diplomatic and it backfired, but that's not why I'm calling. I'm calling because Chloe and I were talking about Laura's patterns and I realized something you need to know. What's that? Laura did the exact same thing to me. I didn't understand at first. He explained. When Laura and I were together, she constantly compared me to her ex before me, guy named Mark. He was apparently more thoughtful, more emotionally available, better at communication. Mark would have understood this. Mark never made me feel this way. It went on for 2 years. That's why I ended the engagement. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. She had a pattern. Yeah, I thought it was just her being hung up on an ex, but now I see it differently. She builds up whoever isn't there into this perfect person, then uses that to tear down whoever is there. I don't think she'll ever be happy because she's always going to be chasing the version of someone that only exists in her head. Matthew continued, I should have warned you when you two got together, but honestly, I thought she'd changed. I wanted to believe people grow, and I was so relieved to be out of it that I just moved on. I'm sorry you went through this. I thanked him. We talked for another few minutes. He told me that Chloe had been incredible through all this, that they were working through it, but it had definitely shaken their relationship. He said he'd blocked Laura completely now and wouldn't be responding to any further contact. After we hung up, I just sat there. I wasn't competing with Matthew. Matthew had lost the same competition with Mark. And whoever Laura dates next will lose to me. I'll become the romanticized ex she uses to torture them. The social fallout has started too. Chloe, bless her, posted in a mutual friend group. Laura and Matthew share some overlap from their time together, about people who stay hung up on exes while trying to move forward. She didn't name names, but enough people could read between the lines. Combined with our friends from game night talking, people are starting to see the pattern. Mike checked in on me yesterday. He said, Jen and I talked and we realized Laura pulled that comparison thing all the time. We just thought it was her personality. We didn't realize how much it was hurting you. I'm sorry we didn't say something sooner. I told him not to worry about it. How would they have known? I'd hidden it well. Laura's family is still defending her, saying I'm abandoning her when she needs support. Her sister Megan actually called me to say I'm proving Laura right by being controlling and vindictive with the divorce. I didn't engage. My lawyer said not to. The divorce should be finalized in about 6 to 9 months depending on how cooperative Laura is. My lawyer thinks she'll drag it out to try to punish me, but we'll see. For now, I'm just focusing on work, hitting the gym, and spending time with friends who actually respect me. I feel lighter somehow, like I've been carrying a weight for 4 years and I finally put it down. I'll update again when the divorce is final or if anything major happens. Final update. Posted 4 months later, final update from me, and honestly I'm posting this more for closure than anything else. The divorce was finalized last week. Faster than expected because Laura's lawyer advised her to accept the settlement rather than drag it out. Here's how it broke down. House stays with me. It was mine before marriage, never added her to the deed. Split some retirement account growth from the marriage period, but I kept the majority. No long-term alimony, just 6 months of transitional support since she has a full-time job. She kept her car and personal belongings, I kept mine. Laura was shocked. She genuinely believed she'd get half the house and longer support. Her lawyer must have explained how these things actually work. When my lawyer told me she'd accepted, he said she seemed surprised things didn't work out like they do in movies. But here's where things got interesting and honestly kind of insulting. 3 days after the divorce was signed, Laura sent me an email, a long one. She wrote about how she'd started therapy and realized Matthew was just the past and that I was the good man all along. She said we could potentially reconcile in the future and that she finally understood what she'd lost. But it was the specific praise that really got me. The email was full of things like, I never appreciated how stable and reliable you were. That's so rare to find. You were always such a hard worker and provider. I took that for granted. Your practical skills and problem solving, those are what matter in a real marriage, not romantic poetry. The way you handled finances responsibly was actually incredibly mature. I see that now. I sat there reading this and couldn't help but laugh bitterly. For 4 years, she'd told me I wasn't romantic enough, wasn't exciting enough, wasn't thoughtful enough. She'd compared my practical approach to life to Matthew's passion. She'd mocked my financial planning as boring compared to Matthew's spontaneity. She'd made me feel like stability and reliability were character flaws, not strengths. And now, after she realized she wasn't getting half my house, after she found out she'd have to support herself, after she saw that her emotional affair and lies didn't win her sympathy in court, suddenly all those things she'd spent years criticizing were exactly what made me the good man all along. The timing was so transparent it was almost funny. She just found out she was getting minimal alimony and no house. Within 72 hours, I went from not as good as Matthew to the one who got away. The email ended with, "I know I made mistakes, but I think with therapy we could rebuild something even stronger. You were always the right choice, I just couldn't see it. Can we meet for coffee to talk?" I read it twice. Then I replied with one sentence. "I hope therapy helps you stop repeating this pattern with your next partner. But for me, you're the past now." I haven't heard from her since that reply. Matthew and Chloe got married last month. Chloe sent me an email, just a brief one, thanking me for not blaming Matthew and saying they'd both blocked Laura permanently. She said the whole experience actually strengthened their relationship because they had to work through trust issues together. I'm genuinely happy for them. As for Laura, I heard through mutual friends that she moved into an apartment with a roommate. She's been trying to control the narrative, telling people I was too insecure to handle her having a past. But enough people know the full story now that it's not working. Even her mom called me once, not to apologize, but to say she was exhausted by the drama. Her sister Megan stopped texting me angry messages after Chloe's post made the rounds and more context came out. Now for me, I've started hosting friends again. Had Kyle, Mike, and Paul over for dinner last Friday. I made pasta, a carbonara that Laura once told me was nothing like the authentic one Matthew learned to make in Italy. Everyone raved about it. Kyle joked, "Man, I bet even Matthew would ask for this recipe." And I laughed. Actually laughed. It was the first time hearing Matthew's name didn't make my chest tight. I'm not dating yet. I'm not ready. But I'm not opposed to it eventually. My therapist says I need to work on recognizing green flags versus red flags, on not settling for someone just because they're available. Fair point. Though Mike's wife Jen has already tried to set me up with her coworker. I politely declined for now, but I appreciated the thought. The house feels different now. Lighter. I've been slowly redecorating, got rid of the couch Laura picked out that I never liked, painted the guest room a deep blue that I wanted. She always said blue was too dark. Hung up some movie posters in my office that she thought were juvenile. Put my gaming PC back in the living room instead of hiding it in the basement. Small things that make it feel like mine again. Like I'm allowed to exist in my own space without apologizing for who I am. Last night, I was thinking about everything and I realized something. For 7 years, I thought I was competing with one man, with Matthew specifically. I thought if I could just be better than him, Laura would finally be satisfied. But I wasn't competing with Matthew at all. I was competing with an impossible ideal that existed only in Laura's head. A person who couldn't exist because no real human being is perfect. Matthew lost that competition with Mark. I lost it with Matthew. Her next partner will lose it with me. The only winning move was to stop playing the game. Thanks, Reddit, for opening my eyes when I was too deep in it to see clearly. You guys probably saved me years of additional misery. I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. I'm remembering who I was before I spent every day trying to measure up to a ghost. And that guy, he's pretty decent. My wife publicly mocked my bedroom performance in front of 8 friends at our anniversary dinner. I just stood up and left. I'm Joey, been married to Phoebe for 5 years. I'm a firefighter EMT here in Denver. She's a senior project manager at a pretty well-known architecture firm. Different worlds, but we made it work. Or so I thought. Last Saturday was our anniversary. Phoebe insisted on doing this big dinner at one of those bougie rooftop restaurants downtown. Not really my scene, but she wanted to celebrate and network with her college friends. 8 of them showed up, this group she stayed tight with since graduation. They're all successful, competitive types, always subtle one-upping each other about careers, money, relationships. You know the crowd. Dinner started fine. Good food, decent conversation. Then Phoebe got into the martinis. Around the third one, she shifted into what I can only describe as stand-up comedian mode, except I was the punchline. Started with small jabs about how I still can't figure out the espresso machine and how I need GPS to find anything in Target. Everyone laughed. Whatever, I can take a joke. But then she went there. You know what Joey is really good at? Putting out fires. What he's not good at, she paused for effect, grinning, keeping any fire going at home, if you catch my drift. The table got quiet for a second, then nervous laughter. She kept going. Seriously, the man has 2 speeds in bed, trying really hard, and oh, that's it. He's so bad in bed it's almost painful. More laughter, but people were clearly uncomfortable now. I just sat there, didn't react, didn't turn red, just processed it. Then came the kicker. He watches more YouTube tutorials about it than he actually does with me. I swear, one day I'm gonna find him taking notes. That's when Tessa spoke up. Tessa is one of the group, works as an interior designer. We actually worked together last year on a community project, renovating homes for families after a fire. 3 months of close collaboration. She set down her wine glass and looked directly at Phoebe. That's funny, because Joey worked side by side with me for 3 months straight, and I've never met anyone more attentive, patient, and skilled with their hands. The table went dead silent. Phoebe's face went through about 5 different emotions. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Tessa shrugged. I'm talking about restoration work. Installing drywall, refinishing hardwood, that kind of thing. But if you want to interpret it differently, that's on you. You could hear a pin drop. Everyone was looking between Phoebe, Tessa, and me. I still didn't say anything. Just stood up, put my napkin on the table, and walked out. I didn't go home that night. Crashed at the firehouse. My phone blew up, 21 texts from Phoebe, ranging from WTF was that about? To you're being ridiculous to we need to talk now. I didn't respond to any of them. Here's the thing, Reddit, I'm sharing this because I need to get it off my chest and because I need perspective on what comes next. That humiliation at dinner, that wasn't the worst part. The worst part is what I've been dealing with for the past year that led me to just sit there and take it. Phoebe has spent our entire marriage making it clear that my job isn't good enough. I don't make what she makes. I can't provide the lifestyle she wants. When friends ask what I do, she says first responder instead of firefighter, like she's embarrassed. She works hybrid, home 3 days a week, but somehow I'm the one doing all the housework, all the cooking, all the errands. Because my 24-hour shifts are apparently just sitting around waiting for calls. And for the past 6 months, she's been taking these Portland project trips every other Thursday, overnight stays. But here's what made my stomach turn. About a week before our anniversary dinner, I was taking out the trash and found a crumpled hotel notepad at the bottom of the bin. Someone had written RM 447, MM plus K with a heart. MM is her initials. Phoebe Mitchell. K is Kevin, her direct supervisor. I didn't confront her. I started documenting instead. Flight records, she's been flying out to Portland, but so has Kevin, always the same flights. Call logs on our phone bill, hours of calls to his number late at night. And 2 weeks ago, our Ring camera caught Kevin showing up at our house at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday when I was on shift. Phoebe let him in. He left at 2 a.m. So when she humiliated me in front of her friends, I just sat there thinking, you're cheating on me with your married boss and you have the audacity to mock me publicly. I've already talked to a lawyer. Colorado is no fault, but the house is in my name from before we got married. I'm just waiting for the right moment to make my move. Tessa texted me this morning. I'm sorry if I made things weird. But after you left, Phoebe told everyone you don't know how to make a woman happy. I couldn't sit there and let her do that. I don't know if Tessa was defending me or if there was something else behind it. Right now, I don't really care. I just need to figure out my next steps. Update 1. 4 days later, holy shit. Okay. I need to update this because things have moved fast and not in any direction I expected. First, I did not go home after the dinner. I stayed at the firehouse for 3 days straight, picked up extra shifts, slept in the bunk room. Phoebe sent 52 more texts over those 3 days. The tone shifted from angry to panicked to manipulative. I didn't respond to any of them. Tuesday morning, I got a message from an unknown number. Turned out to be someone who works at Phoebe's firm. I won't say more than that for their protection, but they sent me 3 things. One, photos of Phoebe and Kevin at an art gallery opening 2 weeks ago. The night she told me she was working late. They're dressed up, drinking wine, and in one photo his hand is on her lower back in a way that's not professional. 2. A forwarded email chain, anonymized, showing Kevin booking hotel rooms in Portland as client meetings charged to the company account. But there's no client, just internal notes that say plus KD site visit. 3. A head up. Kevin's wife doesn't know, but people at work are starting to talk. Thought you should have this before it blows up. I forwarded everything to my lawyer immediately. She called me within an hour. Joey, this is better than I expected. If Kevin is using company funds for personal travel, that's fraud. If Phoebe was party to it, she could be implicated too. And if his wife finds out, she paused. This changes everything about how we approach your divorce. Don't do anything yet. Let them make the first move. Wednesday, I finally went home to grab some clothes. Phoebe was there. She'd clearly been crying. The second she saw me, she started in. 3 days, Joey. 3 days you ignore me. After your friend embarrassed me at my anniversary dinner, I just started packing a duffel bag. She followed me to the bedroom. Say something, defend yourself. Explain why Tessa felt the need to humiliate me. I stopped and looked at her. Really looked at her. You want me to defend myself? Against what exactly? Against you telling 8 people that I'm inadequate. Against you making our sex life a public joke. Against you, it was funny, Joey, it was a joke. Everyone was laughing. Everyone was uncomfortable. There's a difference. She started crying again. I can't believe you're doing this over a joke. You're ruining our marriage over a stupid joke. I zipped up my bag. I'm not the one who ruined anything, Phoebe. Then I left. Didn't elaborate. Didn't bring up Kevin. Just left her standing there. Now here's where it gets interesting, and honestly this is the part I'm still trying to process. Thursday morning I got a call from Tessa. Joey, I need to tell you something, and you're probably going to think I'm crazy or overstepping, but here it is. Phoebe has been telling people for months that you're not present in the marriage, that you don't satisfy her needs. She's been laying groundwork to make you look bad for a while now. I asked how she knew this. Tessa explained that she's part of a group text with some of the women from the dinner. After I left, the chat exploded. Most people were shocked at what Phoebe said. But 2 of them apparently weren't surprised because Phoebe had been venting about me for months in private conversations. She's been crafting a narrative, Joey. Like she's preparing people to take her side when something happens. That hit me like a truck. Friday afternoon, my lawyer called again. Something happened. Kevin's wife just hired a divorce attorney. Word is she found hotel receipts. This is going to come out fast, and when it does, Phoebe is going to panic. And sure enough, Friday night at 9 p.m., Phoebe showed up at the firehouse. Mascara running, hyperventilating, the whole 9 yards. My captain let her in because she was causing a scene in the parking lot. She grabbed my arm. Joey, something happened at work. There's an investigation. People are saying things about me and Kevin. I need you to tell them we're solid, that our marriage is strong. Please, you have to help me. I gently removed her hand from my arm. Help you with what exactly? There are rumors about me and Kevin. His wife is upset. The company is asking questions. If they think I was involved in anything inappropriate, I'll lose everything. Involved in what? She looked panicked, realizing she was saying too much. Just office politics. Nothing real, but you know how it looks. I need you to vouch for me. Tell them our marriage is fine. Our marriage? I looked at her dead in the eyes. You mean the marriage where you slept with your boss for 6 months and then humiliated me in public? She went pale. How did you ring camera, phone bills, the hotel notepad I found in our trash, the Portland trips you took on the same flights as Kevin? Should I keep going? She started shaking. Joey, please, I made a mistake. I'll end it. I'll do anything. Just don't what? Don't divorce you. Don't tell the truth if someone asks. Don't let you face consequences. My captain was standing nearby, clearly uncomfortable but also clearly Team Joey at this point. He stepped in. Ma'am, you need to leave. This is a workplace. Phoebe looked at me one more time, mascara streaked, desperate. I love you, Joey. I didn't respond. She left. I went back to the bunk room and just sat there for a while. Guys, I don't know what I'm feeling right now. Part of me feels vindicated. Part of me feels sick. Part of me is still processing that the woman I married, the woman I thought I'd spend my life with, has been systematically dismantling our marriage while making me look like the villain to everyone we know. My lawyer says to sit tight. Let the HR investigation play out. Let Kevin's divorce play out. Don't engage with Phoebe unless it's through lawyers from here on out. Tessa texted again this morning. I heard she showed up at the firehouse. Are you okay? I don't know how to answer that question yet. More updates coming. I think the worst is still ahead. Update 2. 10 days later, I honestly didn't think I'd be back here this soon, but Reddit, this situation has gone completely off the rails. And I mean completely. So when I left off, Phoebe's affair with Kevin was exposed. His wife was filing for divorce, and the company was investigating. I thought that was the climax. Turns out that was just the opening act. Monday morning, 9 days ago, Phoebe was called into an HR meeting. She texted me 34 times during that meeting. I didn't respond, but my lawyer advised me to screenshot everything in case it becomes relevant later. The messages ranged from "they're asking about Portland" to "Kevin is lying about everything" to "I need you to tell them we were fine." Tuesday afternoon, I got a call from the same anonymous source at her company. This is where things get absolutely insane. Kevin didn't just throw Phoebe under the bus. He orchestrated the bus, loaded it with evidence, and drove it over her himself. Here's what happened. When HR started investigating the Portland trips, Kevin immediately went into self-preservation mode. He told HR that Phoebe had been pursuing him, that she'd been making advances, sending inappropriate messages, and essentially using her marital problems as justification for crossing professional boundaries. He claimed he tried to keep things professional, but she was relentless. Then he submitted to HR a series of text messages between them. They were real messages, but he deleted his own responses to make it look like she was coming onto him unprompted. Screenshots showed her saying things like, "Can't wait to see you tomorrow," and "Are you free tonight?" but none of his replies confirming he was equally involved. The piece de resistance. He told HR she'd threatened to claim sexual harassment if he didn't help her with a promotion. Complete fabrication, but he played it like he'd been the victim this whole time. My source sent me one more thing. Photos from the company Christmas party last year. Kevin and Phoebe in a coat closet, very much not keeping things professional. These weren't in the HR investigation because Kevin had gotten to HR first and framed the narrative. Wednesday, Phoebe showed up at my house, our house. I'd moved back in 2 days before because legally it's mine and my lawyer said I should establish residence. She looked like she hadn't slept in days. Hair greasy, sweatpants, eyes wild. Joey, Kevin is destroying me. He's telling everyone I forced myself on him. He's saying I threatened him. None of it's true. You have to help me. You have to tell them we were happy. You have to get out. Joey, please, we were not happy. You cheated on me. You humiliated me. And now you want me to lie for you. She started crying. Not pretty crying, the kind of crying that's more about panic than sadness. If I lose this job, I lose everything. My career, my reputation. Your reputation. I couldn't help but laugh. Phoebe, you torpedoed your own reputation when you decided to sleep with your married boss and use company money to do it. She tried a different approach, softened her voice. Joey, we were together for 5 years. That has to mean something. I made mistakes, yes, but Kevin is making me out to be some kind of predator. He's lying. I need you to. What you need is a lawyer and therapy and to get the hell out of my house. She switched to anger. Your house. We're married. This is my house too. Premarital asset. Colorado is an equitable distribution state. My lawyer says you're entitled to maybe 5% of the marital assets, which amounts to basically nothing since I paid off this house before we got married and your income went straight to your shopping addiction. Her face went red. You already talked to a lawyer weeks ago. She looked at me like I'd grown a second head. You've been planning this. No, Phoebe, I've been reacting to this. There's a difference. Then she went completely off script. It's Tessa, isn't it? Are you sleeping with Tessa? Is that what this is about? Jesus Christ, not everything is about sex, Phoebe. She defended you at that dinner. She made me look stupid. No, you made you look stupid. She just pointed out that your narrative about me doesn't match reality. Phoebe grabbed her phone and started typing frantically. I'm going to tell everyone. I'm going to tell all our friends that you've been planning this, that you let me humiliate myself while you collected evidence, that you, go ahead, please, tell everyone how your husband documented your affair with your married boss and gathered evidence instead of flying off the handle. See how much sympathy you get. She stared at me for a long moment. Then she threw her phone at the wall. It shattered. She started screaming about how I ruined her life, how I was vindictive, how I never loved her, how I was going to regret this. My neighbor called the police. 2 squad cars showed up. Officers I actually know from joint emergency response situations. Phoebe tried to explain that this was her house too and I was kicking her out. One of the officers gently explained that since I'm the title holder and we're separated, she needs to arrange a time to collect her belongings with supervision. She left, still screaming, neighbors recording on their phones. Thursday, the video showed up on Facebook. Someone had filmed Phoebe's meltdown from their doorbell camera. It spread through the local social media groups like wildfire. The same friends from the anniversary dinner started commenting, some supportive of her, most not. One comment from someone named Rachel. She spent months telling us Joey was emotionally unavailable and borderline neglectful. Now we find out she was cheating and he was just protecting himself. Wild. Friday afternoon, I got a call from Tessa. Joey, I need to tell you something. Phoebe called me. She's convinced you and I are having an affair. She's threatening to report me to my licensing board for unprofessional conduct during our community project. I didn't want to bother you with this, but my attorney says I should give you a heads up. So now Phoebe is trying to take down Tessa too. Classic misdirection. This morning my lawyer emailed. HR concluded their investigation. Phoebe has been terminated effective immediately for misuse of company funds and violation of workplace conduct policies. Kevin has been suspended pending further investigation, but given his seniority and the ambiguity in the text messages, he'll probably keep his job with a demotion. So Phoebe lost her job. Kevin gets a slap on the wrist. And I'm sitting here trying to process how the woman I married turned into someone I don't even recognize. She texted me one more time this afternoon. I hope you're happy. I hope destroying me was worth it. I didn't respond. Because here's the truth. I didn't destroy her. She destroyed herself. I just refused to go down with the ship. Divorce papers getting filed this week. My lawyer says it'll be quick and clean since there are no kids, no shared assets worth fighting over, and she's not in any position to drag things out given her current situation. The guys at the station keep asking if I'm okay. Honest answer. I don't know yet. I'm relieved. I'm angry. I'm sad. Mostly I just feel tired, but I'm still standing. That's something. Final update. It's been 11 days since my last update and I wasn't sure I'd post again, but enough people DM'd asking for closure that I figured I owed you all an ending. Though honestly, I'm not sure this is really an ending so much as just where things are now. So first, the big news. Phoebe's termination triggered a chain reaction I didn't see coming. Last Tuesday, Kevin's wife filed a lawsuit against Kevin and the architecture firm for fraud and emotional distress. Her attorney argued that the company enabled the affair by allowing Kevin to misuse corporate funds, and that HR's initial investigation was compromised because Kevin reported to the VP who signed off on his travel expenses. The firm is now in full panic mode, doing an audit of every trip Kevin approved in the past 3 years. Kevin got suspended with pay while they investigate. But here's the kicker. Turns out Kevin's wife found more hotel receipts. Not just Portland, Seattle, Phoenix, San Diego, all with different women on his team. Phoebe wasn't even his only affair. She was just the one who got caught first. Wednesday afternoon, I was at the grocery store when I ran into two of the friends from the anniversary dinner, Michelle and Jard. They actually stopped their cart and came up to me. Michelle looked genuinely uncomfortable. "Joey, we owe you an apology. We should have said something that night. What Phoebe did was completely out of line and we just sat there." Jard nodded. "We've been talking about it a lot. About how she'd been saying things about you for months, and we just took her word for it instead of questioning why a grown woman felt the need to trash her husband to her friends constantly. I appreciated that. Told them I understood. It's hard to call out a friend in the moment. But Michelle said something that stuck with me. The thing is, she never talked about the good parts of your marriage, just the complaints. And that should have been our first clue something else was going on. Friday, I got a message from Tessa. "Coffee this week. I'd like to talk." We met up Saturday morning. She looked nervous, kept stirring her latte without drinking it. "Joey, I need to be honest with you about something. When I defended you at that dinner, it wasn't entirely altruistic." She took a breath. "I've always thought you were different from other guys, thoughtful, genuine, and working with you on that renovation project, I don't know, I saw how hard you work, how much you care about helping people. It made me angry seeing her treat you like that." I didn't know what to say. She continued, "I'm not trying to make this weird. I'm not expecting anything. But I wanted you to know that if you ever wanted to grab coffee again or dinner or just talk, I'd like that." Part of me saw that coming. Part of me didn't. I told her the truth. "Tessa, you seem like an amazing person, and I appreciate what you did at that dinner more than you know. But I need to figure out how to exist as just Joey for a while. Not Joey the husband, not Joey who got cheated on, just me." She smiled genuinely. "That's probably the healthiest thing I've heard anyone say in a long time. Rain check. Rain check." The divorce is moving fast. Phoebe signed without contesting anything. My lawyer said she probably knows she has no leg to stand on, especially since she's unemployed now. Settlement is basically, she gets 5% of our joint savings, around $3,800. She keeps her car, I keep the house. Clean split. She has 30 days to collect all her belongings. She sent me one final text last week. "I'm sorry for all of it. I know you won't believe me, but I am." I didn't respond. Not because I'm trying to be cruel, but because there's just nothing left to say. 2 days ago, I got promoted to captain. I'd applied for it 6 months ago and honestly forgot about it with everything going on. The chief called me into his office and told me they'd been watching my performance, my leadership during calls, and how I handled personal adversity with professionalism. The promotion comes with a 15% raise and a more flexible schedule. This morning I went for a run through City Park. It's something I used to do every Sunday before Phoebe and I got together. Somewhere along the way I'd stopped. As I was finishing my loop, my phone buzzed, text from my brother David who lives in Boulder. "Heard about everything through Mom. Coming down this weekend. We're playing basketball and you're going to tell me the whole story." It's funny how the people who matter show up when things fall apart. I've been sleeping better, eating better. The house is quiet, but it's peaceful quiet, not the tense silence that used to fill it when Phoebe was home but mentally somewhere else. I'm thinking about getting a dog, maybe starting that woodworking hobby I always talked about. Last night I was looking through old photos on my phone and came across one from our wedding. Phoebe smiling, me smiling, both of us convinced we were building something permanent. It didn't make me angry or sad. It just made me think. Sometimes people aren't who they pretend to be, and sometimes the kindest thing you can do for yourself is accept that and move on. Kevin apparently moved to Austin. Fresh start, I guess. His wife got the house and primary custody of their kid. Phoebe is bartending at some place downtown while she figures things out. I heard through the grapevine she's already dating someone she met there. Good for her. Someone asked me in DMs if I regret staying quiet that night at the restaurant instead of defending myself. Honest answer, no, because staying quiet wasn't weakness, it was control. Phoebe was banking on me reacting, on me making a scene, on giving her ammunition to paint me as the volatile one. By staying calm, by gathering evidence, by protecting myself legally before engaging emotionally, I gave myself the best possible outcome. I'm okay. Not great yet, but okay. And some days, okay is enough. Thanks for listening, Reddit.